You know, Larry, it's interesting. You and I, we've been doing our show here. We've never really titled it, but it's okay. It goes, everybody knows it's you. So people tune in to listen to Larry's insights. We did a show, Larry, 2 weeks ago, I think, that was about the guy who, what's his name? The guy who was elected district attorney in San Francisco.
Right.
I forget his name. But the show got huge viewership. It's one of the most viewed videos on Crowdsource the Truth. It had 168,932 views and over 1,600 comments. They keep coming in even to this day. So I want to thank all of the new viewers that we have, and I want to thank you, Larry, because people are intrigued by your insights, your commentary, your experience in Washington, D.C. You've developed over the years the ability to sort of read these tea leaves that allows us to make the somewhat hyperbolic statement that you know what's going to be in this IG report. I want to clarify, of course, you're speculating. What can you tell us about your thoughts with regard to the forthcoming report?
Well, I'm sure most people have heard the rumblings that, you know, when the IG report comes out, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Of course, that's inspired by the Democrats. And if you want to counter that, look at what they're doing, scheduling the impeachment hearings right at the time the report's coming out.
Right.
And then when you add to that, the Page, Miss Page, or whatever her name is, the lover of Strzok, she comes out with her own personal defense of the report. And by the way, she has been provided a copy of the report, so she knows she's in it. So the Democrats obviously fear what's coming. Jason, there's a couple of things I need to clarify.
Yeah.
Folks, the Horowitz, the Inspector General, he is not a prosecutor. He is not a prosecutor. So therefore, he has no prosecutorial authorities at all. He simply comes up with his outcome, his recommendation, what he saw, what he investigated, how it came out. He can't do things. He can't even get witnesses to talk, force witnesses to talk to him if they were no longer employed by the government. Now, there was a rumbling also that Barr and Horowitz have kind of a conflict a little bit about the report.
Yeah.
What that stems from, folks, is Horowitz in the report uses phrases like less than truthful. Like, let's take James Comey. When he's talking about Comey in various parts of the report, he says less than truthful, less than honest. You know, uses all of these polite ways to get around saying he lied.
Right.
Now, the fact that he does that puts a burden on Barr, because Barr cannot prosecute based off of less than truthful.
Yep.
You got it?
Yeah.
You can't do it. So what they were trying to establish and what they tried to work out, I do not know where it stands as of this moment, but they were trying to hit middle ground on that so that Barr can use the IG conclusions in case he decides to prosecute or impanel the grand jury. Folks, there's a lot going on with the IG report. As a matter of fact, it's going to be massive. One of the problems with the IG report that I think Barr and Durham both have a problem with, one of the obvious things, Jason, with the IG report, the FISA court part,
Yeah.
they're concerned a bit because it looks like a lay-down case, right? They've got several people that have signed swearing and attesting that the Steele dossier was verified. What everyone's afraid of, what if the judges in these FISA courts come out and say that they didn't say it was verified? What happens if the judges are deep staters themselves and come up with some wiggle room for Comey and the group.
Right.
That's disturbing. And that, folks, I guess, remains to be seen. But the report is going to nail Comey, McCabe, Clapper, all of them. I mean, this report conclusively finds that there was a conspiracy to overthrow the president within the ranks of the FBI and the Department of Justice.
Yeah, that's
It's
massive.
there for the world to see. Now, of course, Democrats, they're going to look at it and they're going to go through it and they're going to find anything they can to discredit that. The other thing they're going to do is they're going to claim this report, along with Barr, they are just further attempts to obstruct justice. As a matter of fact, if you look at what Schiff turned over to Sadler's committee, their report, they talk about the president obstructing Congress by not allowing witnesses to testify or documents to be subpoenaed, etc. This is in preparation for the Horowitz report. They know what's in it as well. So they're going to claim that this is just another attempt of the president using his surrogates, Horowitz, Barr, Durham, using his surrogates to block for him, to stop people from getting to the truth. And that's just not the case.
Yeah.
And one other point I'd like to make about the investigation first.
Yeah.
Folks, I want you to remember this is a 3-step investigation. 3 components. 3. First, you have Durham. Durham is going back to the beginning. He is looking into going back to Obama's staff, going back to who authorized what was the premise by which they authorized the counterintelligence investigation into the Trump campaign team. That part. Horowitz deals with, once they decided to do it, how they were doing it internally within the FBI and the other people that were involved. So he's kind of how the system worked once they started it. And then Barr, he comes along with his third part, and that is the prosecutorial function. He will take information from those two and put it to work.
Yeah. Now,
So that's what you like.
yeah. I think a lot of people who are watching our show right now, people who are home watching the news, some of our viewers who are going to visit nicholslive.com and clicking on the donate tab, supporting you using your PayPal address, nicholslive@aol.com, or sending money to you in Conway, Arkansas. A lot of these people sit at home and they watch the news and they know that Adam Schiff is lying. And I think the average person sort of feels like if you do the right thing and you tell the truth and you don't lie, you can go into court and you can just explain the truth as it is and that you'll be okay. But you've told us many times, and people are becoming, I think, a little bit more aware of this, particularly when we get into this practice of lawfare, that the truth doesn't actually matter. Adam Schiff seems to be softening the ground or, laying the seeds or whatever for something that he intends to spring up later. Can you talk a little bit about some of the maneuvering that Schiff is doing specifically? You spoke about the language that Barr is challenging. There was an article in the Washington Post, I think, this morning, just saying that Barr disputes key Inspector General findings about the FBI's investigation. You spoke about this language that's being used. Isn't it true that by using specific language in his findings, Horowitz can mitigate the possibility of prosecution?
He sure can. He certainly can. And may well have done it. He may well have done it. Believe me, when he says less than truthful, or any of those little phrases, that puts a burden on Barr.
Right.
and his prosecutorial side of it. So yeah, he can stifle it. He can. It's weird. He can do a complete investigation. Yes, let's say a thorough investigation, and still come up with a zero-sum game just by the language he uses.
Yeah.
Look, Washington is a sleazy place, Jason. Sleazy. The deep state has been involved and in place for years and years. And they have people at all levels, just as I was saying. We don't know right now how many, or even if any of the FISA court judges are in on it. We don't know. We won't know that until we see Horwitz's final report, and then Barr can pursue it and see what the judges do. But it's a question out there to be answered.
Yeah.
But Jason, everything you see in Washington with one bit of bright light up until the day Donald Trump became president. I'm talking about Bush, Clinton, etc. Not Reagan, but all the rest of them pretty much. Everything you see in Washington is a lie. Usually it's the exact opposite of the truth. Usually. See, I've seen on television right now, there's a little screen thing that says, Schiff says, the facts are not seriously contested. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. I'll tell you, Larry, Thanksgiving was a bit of an eye-opener for me because, you get together with family and friends. Maybe you see it once a year sometimes. And, I mean, in my case, I was dealing with people who I've known all my life, some of which who I consider fairly intelligent, certainly educated. And for them, the things that were said to me in terms of, a lot of people are convinced that Trump has done something wrong, and they're just not even questioning anything that the Bidens have done. This notion, Adam Schiff has planted this poison seed in people's minds where he's caused them to believe that Donald Trump did something wrong by telling the president of Ukraine that he should begin an investigation into multi-million-dollar corruption that seems to go way beyond Joe Biden. Larry, I know you're not intimately familiar with the details of that, but in a general sense, in terms of your understanding of Washington, D.C., do you think it's a fair statement to say that people don't really care about Joe Biden? If this was just going to put Joe Biden and his cokehead son in jail, he'd be thrown under the bus long ago. I get the impression that pulling on this Joe Biden thread is going to unravel a sweater that goes way beyond Ukraine and Cyprus and all this.
Oh, absolutely. That's the problem. That's the problem with this whole foreign aid program. You go pulling at this thread, and you've got the whole thing. You've got the whole thing coming unraveled because Joe Biden, through his son, is not the only one that's playing the game of kickback through foreign aid to countries that we're supporting. He's not the only one. They're all doing it. Not all, but most.
Right. And when you say foreign aid kickbacks, you mean some president, some secretary of state, some high-level bureaucrat in the United States can make a deal with some country that most people in the United States have maybe never heard of, like Ukraine. I think before this all happened, not that many people, if it wasn't for the game Risk, nobody would even know that Ukraine is a country. But they can make these deals with these sort of economically depressed, lesser-known countries where somebody high up in that country knows they're going to send money specifically to the U.S. diplomat who has the decision-making power. Look, this goes on everywhere. I think I've told the story about how I was trying to be the cinematographer on a project in Hollywood, and the producer basically told me, you got to pay me $8,000 or I'm going to hire somebody else. And I couldn't believe it.
Well, Jason, one of the biggest, most commonly used practices for what I would call extortion, I guess.
Yeah.
I hate to use those words being around what Frisk has done to them. But usually you'll find a congressman or a senator connected to an aid package to a country, and then someone in that congressman or senator's family will be a consultant. And of course, if you want to get this foreign aid, we suggest that you hire, my son, niece, nephew, cousin, wife, whatever,
Right.
as a consultant to the project. It's done every day.
Yeah.
That is almost, that's a cottage industry in Washington, D.C. for family members of sitting politicians. That's one of the perks, one of the benefits. And most of the time, if it's a wife, or if there's a way, they use the maiden name of a wife, or any other name they can use and get by with, so it does not obviously link to the congressman or senator.
Right.
It's done every day.
But in the case of Hunter Biden, Larry, isn't he a particular problem? He's got drug issues. He's having sex with strippers. He's having sex with his dead brother's wife. I mean, this guy's a wreck.
Well, he is, but now you're going to find out why Barack Hussein Obama warned Biden he didn't need to do this.
Do what?
Obama didn't need to run for president.
Right.
Because he knew this could come out and be a big deal. And it could lead to what you said exactly, of unraveling the thread for a whole lot of people. So that's why they go to great extremes, the Obamas, to try to distance themselves from Biden.
Right.
But one thing that still bothers me, when all of this was going down, Biden wasn't considered a serious candidate for president, so how could Trump have known to do this dirty deed to hurt Biden to help his candidacy for president when Biden wasn't even there yet, technically?
Well, and not only that, Larry, I think that, first of all, we can look at how the public has responded to Joe Biden. That's one factor. But also, I think it's pretty clear that Donald Trump, irrespective of the public response, has never considered Joe Biden an actual contender or a challenger, right?
No. If he were going to, quote unquote, break the wall to benefit his campaign, Joe Biden would have been the one he would pick on.
Right.
Discussion.
Yeah, his own hubris would just not allow him to see Joe Biden as a threat.
That's right. Look, I doubt Joe Biden now makes it out of the Democratic primary. He might, but I doubt it.
I'm sure you heard Kamala Harris dropped out just a few hours ago.
She dropped out, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, and Jason, we all, me and you included, our audience here included, we all get so wrapped up in the shift and the impeachment and the da-da-da-da-da. But we don't think enough, I don't think, about the damage this is doing. We have our president in London at the NATO summit. Purpose being he's there negotiating trade deals, security agreements, etc., right?
Yeah.
And at the time he's gone, this has always been the law, not written law, but just always done. When the president leaves the country, politics stop.
Right.
For the very reason that we have right now. President Trump's over there trying to negotiate very serious trade agreements, security agreements, etc. And every one of those leaders in those other countries are sitting there saying, how do we know that we're making a deal with him? He's going to be here to support it.
Right.
I mean, they have hurt our international relationships phenomenally. And just like those friends that you saw over Thanksgiving. I don't know, but I would bet you $100 to a biscuit. If you were to go to their homes and look to what channel they get their news from, it's probably going to be linked to CNN.
Yeah. New York Times and CNN. All New York Times and CNN.
Now, I don't care how intelligent you are. If you're a single source information person, remember, you have a steady diet of soon become it. So they're literally becoming what they're being programmed to be. And even though they're educated, smart, I'm sure, they don't realize it. They just don't realize it.
Yeah. Larry, there was a very strange comment made by Joe Biden that, I mean, it almost seems like I've experienced this when I'm kind of like falling asleep. Maybe if you're like sitting on the couch watching a movie with somebody and you're in conversation, but you're falling asleep and then you say something that makes absolutely no sense. It's almost like something out of a dream. And then the person will be like, what? So Joe Biden comes out with this comment that he's got hairy legs and he knows about roaches and kids sitting on his lap. What the hell was that? Did you hear that?
I heard that. One interesting thing that has not come out, and I bet it does not come out, several years ago, Joe Biden had 3 charges that were summarily just disappeared for child pornography. But they disappeared, and then it's funny, nobody's bringing it up. It's in his FBI Secret Service file. It's there.
Whoa.
No one's touching it. But Joe Biden's not the good old daddy that he plays up to be. Trust me. And I know, bless his heart, he's had some hardships and tragedies in his life. I know that. For that, I feel sorry. But let's not forget, you don't hang around Washington, D.C. as long as he has, unless you are what? Pliable.
Right. Pliable.
And in addition to that comment you made, we talked about the hairy legs, there was something else he said. You know, he said in another instance, he said, well, you know, Putin knows who I am. Kim Jong-un knows who I am. She knows who I am. And they know, I know they know who I am. They don't know him from Adam. You know, if he's met Kim Jong-un and explained to this, why was President Trump's phone call, not to mention his first meeting with him in person, why was President Trump the first person that ever talked to Kim Jong-un, person to person, the first president ever to talk to him?
Yeah.
My knowledge, the only one that ever talked to him was the basketball player.
Mm-hmm. I've found an article here about the Joe Biden sexual misconduct. This is from the Washington Examiner, written by Kathleen Carroll in 2018. It's saying here, Larry, that a video from 1991 found by NTK Network reveals the former Vice President Joe Biden, then a senator, pushed back on the notion that the FBI would reach any sort of conclusion from an investigation. Biden made his comments while he was chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee during the confirmation hearings of Justice Clarence Thomas. So the next person that refers to an FBI report as being worth anything obviously doesn't understand anything. FBI explicitly does not, in this or any other case, reach a conclusion, period.
That's right.
Weird.
That's right.
I mean,
Well, it depends. If they're doing it for security clearance purpose, if they're doing a background check, the FBI confidential intelligence file is simply that. Now, in it is a lot of trash. So, I mean, you know, they literally go to where the person lived and they go around to his neighbors. There may be 2 or 3 neighbors that say, yeah, I hate the guy. He blows up people on the weekend. There's trash in it. But there is also stuff that actually occurred. And Biden's intelligence file don't look so good at all. In addition to the child pornography, there are several instances of groping. As a matter of fact, he's one of the first person I've even heard the word groping over.
wow. Yeah, I mean, we've seen it on video many times.
Yeah, well, the kind of groping they're talking about in his intelligence files is not just hugging or smelling their hair or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
He really thought in his early to
legs and roaches and kids jumping on his lap. I mean, it literally seems like the guy should be in a home where we go visit him on Saturday from 3 to 5. He's out of it.
Right. And so this is the stuff. The next thing that the Democrats are coming at Trump with. They're coming now, with Russia, then with the blackmail quid pro quo.
Right.
If those two fail, they got a third one that Schiff had come up with.
What's that?
And that one, well, that is to attack him in the 25th Amendment. To say that, they've got people lined up, especially in the Middle East, some of the decisions made there. They're going to challenge his being fit to be president. That's their next scandal.
Right.
If these hearings don't work. Now, probably what's going to happen, I do hope President Trump and his legal team can force a trial in the Senate. I do. Now, when I say that, that's under the assumption, which is bad, that Lindsey Graham can force Mitch McConnell to have the Senate trial follow jurisprudence, court laws, court mannerisms.
Right, due
And if
process.
they can, yes, if they can, then President Trump needs that most desperately, because people will watch that, and he'll be able to bring witnesses, he'll be able to have people questioned, etc. That's what we hope. We hope it gets to go to trial.
That actually came up in my Thanksgiving conversation, Larry, because I asked this friend of mine, who was totally convinced that everything that Adam Schiff was doing was good and just. I said to him, you're supporting persecution. There's no due process. And my friend went on to tell me that it was a political process, not a criminal process. And I said, okay, so you think if anybody doesn't like you, they should be able to bring about some cumbersome process that can remove you from your job and deny you of your rights. It's amazing how Adam Schiff has socially engineered intelligent people. I mean, the point I was trying to get across was that even if you dislike Donald Trump as an American, you should be really objecting to this process of someone in Congress, bringing about all this political hullabaloo to remove somebody and to get around the rights that we have, whether it's political or criminal. This is, they're going to destroy the guy's life over it and the country.
Well, and they've done it with Kavanaugh. They'll do it in any person that gets in the way. Now, Jason is used to, in the old guard of senators and congressmen, when you tried to bring something up, we always were hit with this if so then so law.
The what?
If so then so law. So in other words, if you swing at me and do something outside of the norm, then we get swing back outside of the norm, and you start something that will eventually just grow and grow and grow until you break the whole thing down.
Got it.
So that was definitely a no-no. You just didn't do it. Nowadays, they've clomped all over that. But see, what's dangerous, if they get away with it with Trump, theoretically, and become a Democrat, and will work that way, because if the Democrat comes in, we're out of the business of being a representative republic form of government, so that side's kind of got to watch out for. But theoretically, the Republicans could do it to the next president that's a Democrat. And then, of course, the next president that's a Republican, the Democrats will do it to him.
Well, I'm worried about each of us as citizens, Larry. If they could do this to a billionaire who's the president of the United States, what happens when they decide they want to do it to Larry Nichols or to Jason Goodman? We'd be in some pretty serious trouble. We've got some interesting comments coming from the comments section.
Let me tell you what's crazy.
Sure.
They say that they've already done it to Larry Nichols.
Right.
I've already had the treatment big time, still live through it today.
Yeah, and that's one reason why it's really important, Larry, for our viewers to visit nicholslive.com and click on the donate tab. People can financially sponsor Larry by going to paypal.com and sending him money with his PayPal address, nicholslive@aol.com. You can also send cash to Larry in Conway, Arkansas. Just put some in an envelope and mail it to him. And again, if you enjoy listening to Larry, whether you consider this opinion, fact, entertainment, whatever, Larry is a political analyst and a commentator. He's here giving us his insights. I find it very valuable. I hope that people will support Larry. Someone was telling us, Larry, that Joe Biden is faking dementia. And I think that's a very good point. Maybe Joe Biden knows what's in that report and knows what's coming. Mel Chapman has suggested this is fake dementia. What do you think about that?
Could very well be.
Got the same disease as Mr. Mueller, perhaps.
Yeah. He just selected memory loss.
Yeah.
Look, I'm telling you, Joe Biden is not clean. And he's so arrogant that he even did the little piece in front of the camera saying, you know, I gave him 6 hours to do this, or I was going to cut the funds.
Right.
He's so arrogant because he's been a part of the system, Jason, so long that he knows they're untouchable. Therefore, they've been untouchable.
Well, but the truth is, Larry, what we're seeing right now, this is the process of draining the swamp. The swamp does not just say, okay, you're going to drain us. They're swamping back.
That's right. If anybody thought that Donald Trump or anybody was going to go in and be president and take his pen like he did in his TV show and just go, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired, and nobody do anything, you were crazy.
Yeah.
The professional people, government service people that have been there forever, these people wield power. As a matter of fact, they probably got in their specific area or realm of responsibility, they've got more power than the president. And they don't like it when somebody comes in and messes with their playground.
Yeah.
They don't.
Something else interesting, Larry, we've got Kathy on Periscope telling us that Schiff has no choice, and she says there's no doubt in her mind that Ed Buck has been talking. It's a good point. What do we know about that?
I know quite a bit that I can't say, but yes, Ed Buck is cooperating. And Brother Schiff is going to catch a little heat if he doesn't beat Trump. And believe me, President Trump knows about Schiff and Ed Buck and what went on.
Yeah.
Remember, I lied to you. I didn't mean to lie to you. I told you 16 times Schiff was at Buck's apartment of a late evening. Turns out that was 27 times, not 16.
Wow. You know, there's a real estate publication in West Hollywood called WeHoville that has a headline from a week ago. It says, looking for an apartment, one may be available soon at 1234 North Laurel Avenue. And apartment number 17, the home until recently of Ed Buck, who now resides in the Metropolitan Detention Center in downtown Los Angeles. He's waiting for his trial in August 2020. That doesn't seem like a speedy trial, but David Shane Enterprises owns the 22-unit apartment building, and he'll be at the LA County Courthouse in Santa Monica tomorrow requesting that Buck be evicted. It's pretty strange that we've got a legal process that allows Adam Schiff, the moron, to tie up the entire country and government with a bunch of nonsense and a fake trial. Meanwhile, you can apparently murder 2 men in your apartment during a crazy meth party, and it becomes a difficult thing to get you evicted for that.
Absolutely. Welcome to my world, Jason. Welcome to my world. You know, I don't think this audience understands. I came out by myself against the most powerful couple in the history of the world, Bill and Hillary Clinton, at a time when they had control of the most powerful governmental agencies in the world. They were in charge of the FBI. They were in charge of the CIA, IRS, you name it.
Yeah.
Here I stood, the only person in that day actually bringing out the things about him that caused eventually his impeachment hearing. And you know, if you live that life for a week and don't have a nervous breakdown, you'll be lucky.
It's a lot of pressure.
It is. And they come at you, buddy. They come at you soft and they come at you hard.
I know, Larry. I'm seeing it.
And they roast you.
Larry,
they roast you, you know, with media scandals, etc.
Oh, yeah.
That's all what's called soft and hard is when you end up in a dump.
Yeah, well, you know, we've got Tall Oaks telling us that Ed Buck didn't kill himself yet. So we've got some memes still up there. Not yet. But let's talk about that for a second, Larry. This soft kill, hard kill. When it comes to someone like you, a lot of people ask every week, why is Larry Nichols still alive? Because somebody like you who's revealing this information, if they were to kill you, a lot of that information is already out there. And frankly, it puts more attention on you. They really want to discredit you by making people think that you are a liar and that you can't be trusted and anything that you say is ridiculous. So that's kind of more of the soft approach. There really seems to be a playbook, Larry, because I'm engaged in this process where, you know, basically everybody watching knows I'm being sued. And these are not legitimate lawsuits. These are lawsuits being brought by people who seem to be playing by the exact same playbook as the Adam Schiffs of the world and the people who are trying to bring fake allegations against the president and turn them into something. They start, as you said, with a fake allegation and a smear in the media. And if they can get it into a court case or something, even if it's a false allegation, I just learned something recently that I should have known a long time ago that I'm sure you know, Larry. If someone goes on a show and says, hey, Larry Nichols committed a crime or whatever, and you haven't done that, you can sue that person for defamation. But if someone brings a lawsuit against Larry Nichols and makes all kinds of allegations of criminal activity and civil torts in the lawsuit, they have immunity, you know, in the lawsuit, and they can then publicize that lawsuit and say, hey, a federal lawsuit alleges X, Y, and Z about Larry Nichols, and it's just as effective at getting negative information about you into the public sphere, but they can't be sued for it.
You got it. And that's what we did, and that's what was done to me.
Lawfare.
You know, I'm telling you that it just, now the problem they had with me, and remember, guys, I know you may not believe this, but I was in with them. So I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
I knew what would happen. And there was one thing that I bet my life on. And I literally did. And that was when I filed the lawsuit naming the 5 women against Bill Clinton that he had had affairs with. That put me out public. And when I became a public figure, yes, I exposed myself to a lot of harsh comments, criticism, calling every name in the world. But it also made it harder for them to pop me. You know, because they've always known that, or they knew if they killed me, there was a chance, a risk, I would be bigger in death than I was in life.
Right. Become sort of a Clinton martyr.
Yeah. And so I was able somehow, through the grace of God, to slip through all of it. But it hadn't been easy. I've got a few bones and breaks and scars. I mean, it hasn't been a piece of cake. But, you know, just to show y'all, when you first heard of Bill Clinton and his campaign, you heard of the war room.
Yeah.
Now they call a term that y'all use quite a lot called, what do you call it, op research.
Opposition research. Yeah.
Folks, those terms did not exist nationally until Bill Clinton. Those were things we did in Arkansas that he carried with him to Washington. And now everybody does it. Opposition research. They're just there to dig up trash.
Right. Well, let me say something, Larry, because that term, opposition research, it makes it sound like if I wanted to go into business, let's say making computers, I might research the competition, Apple Computer and IBM and Asus, whoever's making computers. I might want to learn about their history, how they do it, what has caused them to succeed or fail. That's research into actual facts. But the term opposition research actually refers to making up negative stories about your opposition, if you can't find anything negative, like this story about the dossier of prostitutes urinating on a bed, if that were actual research, by now we should have come up with the names of the prostitutes, receipts from the hotel room paid for by Donald Trump, hotel security camera footage showing him entering the hotel, showing two prostitutes entering shortly after, leaving. That kind of thing would be research. This opposition research is really just making crap up.
It is, and then we took advantage, and they do today still, of another thing called circle journalism.
Right.
So let's say I want to start a rumor against you, Jason, but I don't want to be sued, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be sued. So I break it to somebody, and then that somebody breaks it to somebody else.
Right.
And pretty soon it just leaks into the media.
Right.
Now it's out there, but it's not really attributable to anybody. And then you also have the reporters that say, I don't have to give up my sources.
Well, not only that, Larry, they've come out now with an entire mechanism for doing this with 4chan and 8chan and this public acceptance of QAnon and FBI Anon and all of these Anons. Like using this internet moniker of Anon automatically gives some credibility to somebody. But all you need is an anonymous comment posted on 4chan, and then people can pick it up and say, oh, well, 4chan is saying Larry did this, or Jason did that, or whatever it might be. But this is really just a microcosm of what is going on in Washington, D.C., in the world of the Clintons. Like when I Google Larry Nichols, Bill Clinton lawsuit, the first thing that comes up is this Los Angeles Times article that's talking about when you decided to drop the lawsuit. It's saying that Larry Nichols says the case alleging infidelity by presidential candidate has gone way too far. Arkansas governor and wife will appear on TV. This is from January 1992, before Bill Clinton was well known, before he was the president. What can you say about this article? Is it accurately characterizing what you said and how you felt about the lawsuit at the time?
No. One of the ladies in the lawsuit, Larry Patterson and Roger Perry, came to me and said that she was so upset she was going to kill herself. She was afraid. They were afraid she was going to kill herself. So I agreed, hoping to be a gentleman as much as I could be, to take her out of the suit, to drop her name from the suit. Now how that got spun into dropping the whole thing, let your imagination take hold.
Mm-hmm. But this
But
is
it was to release the pleasure of one woman that needed, and I would do it again, Jason. I wouldn't hurt her. I couldn't. I hated that I did in the first place.
What was it that happened that hurt her? Sorry, Larry. What was it that happened that hurt her? I'm not immediately
familiar. Her name is in my lawsuit. Her name is in my lawsuit. And she had just gotten married.
And she didn't want the husband to know that this had happened.
And she didn't want all of her friends and everybody to look down on her. Anyway, so that's what it was.
Wow. So that's crazy. Bill Clinton, sexually assaults the woman, and then you are the one who basically bears the burden of having revealed it.
Yeah. The way it works.
Wow. LA Times covered it a lot, didn't they?
Bill Lincoln with the LA Times, I'll tell you a little funny story about him. When he first came into town, there was a Holiday Inn downtown, Broadway, Little Rock. And they took up the whole second floor. The Los Angeles Times took up the whole second floor. They said file cabinets in every room with all the stuff Lincoln and all of his associates gathered. Well, Bill Lincoln kept asking me, he said, how do you know this? How can you know what they're going to do next? Finally, I told him, I said, well, I bugged the governor's mansion. He said, you're kidding. I said, no, I bugged the governor's mansion. So I made a plan to where we would go, where I would usually park. I built a system using crystals and pieces of SM57 microphones, and I put them all over the governor's mansion and in the guard shack. And so we pulled up pretty much in front of the governor's house. And we were sitting and listening listening to them talk in the gray room, which is the being kind of the other things. I didn't know that he had been accepted as an official candidate and therefore qualified for Secret Service.
Oh, right.
God, Michael and I were sitting in that van, and here comes the Secret Service surrounding us. I mean, they got scary, but that's how I did it. As a matter of fact, the conversation we were listening to was with Bill Clinton and Jack Stevens. We're talking to, oh my God, the black guy, Jesse
Jackson.
Jackson. And Jackson, you know, at that time was running as well. And they told him to get back out of the race. Stevens said they'd give him a jet, a private jet. And he agreed to do it, and they did. And we were there listening to that deal.
Wow. Jesse Jackson has made some questionable deals throughout his career. Ole Dammegard gave a presentation in Sweden during which he alleges that Jesse Jackson had foreknowledge of the assassination of Martin Luther King and even assisted with it.
Well, I'm just telling you, this is the way it was. Bill Rickle eventually got beat up in his hotel room, and several reporters in that day got mugged.
Bill Whipple was his name?
Rimple.
Oh, right. He's the guy from the Los Angeles Times who was sort of on your side, right?
Well, yeah, he ended up being on my side because everything, he started out very much against me, but everything I proved to him was, and he became kind of on my side as much as in that day any true journalist would be.
Right.
He never got me any slack, but he did have the courage to print the truth until the LA Times was purchased, and then all of a sudden it became a Clinton advertising machine.
Now that's interesting. You know, Larry, we've got about 15 minutes left. I wanted to see if we could have some time perhaps to discuss some of the new stuff that's happened with regard to Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of people have been talking about this incredibly bad interview that Prince Andrew gave to, I guess, the BBC. It was ridiculous, the things that he was saying, that he's unable to sweat, that, you know, all these different kinds of things happen. So, you know, one of the main things that's been going on is we've got Virginia Roberts Giuffre suing Dershowitz for defamation. We'll recall that Alan Dershowitz was pivotal in creating this deal where the victims were officially referred to as prostitutes, and that allowed Epstein to get a really lighter sentence as far as something, you know, he was soliciting prostitution rather than trafficking in children. And a lot of people, justifiably so, objected to this. It caused me to think about Dan Lasseter, I think was the guy who spoke about how he and Bill Clinton were basically in a regular practice of getting underage girls, getting them addicted to cocaine, essentially raping them and turning them into prostitutes, basically turning them out, making them dependent on drugs and making them into desperate, you know, drug addicts, and then they're pimps, essentially. Isn't that what Epstein was? Isn't that what Bill Clinton and Dan Lasseter were?
Well, that's what they did in one case specifically that I know about at the Paw Towers. There was a young cheerleader from Sheridan, a little small suburb to Little Rock. And they brought her up to the Paw Towers. And they got her hooked on cocaine and everything. It was horrible. And I had to help the father find her. They had hooked her on the drugs and then shipped her to Las Vegas as a prostitute. And I had to help the father find her and get her home.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
very much people, baby.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know that much about Virginia Roberts Capri, I know she's had drug problems. I mean, this is a really thorny area because once somebody experiences that kind of abuse, they can go into depression and have all kinds of problems that can lead to drug use. But it just caused me, when I just thought about that detail, and I'm not saying this is an excuse. I'm just identifying this as a pattern, as a tactic. They want to create these desperate people that they can then manipulate. It's very similar to the approach, like we take somebody like Joe Biden, who perhaps, his son, obviously, he's a perfect candidate for being a candidate because we know he's addicted to drugs. He's obviously got sexual issues where he's having sex with prostitutes or strippers and his brother's wife and all kinds of stuff. So they can get that guy entangled in a situation where they could force him to do something pretty easily.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point of what I say. When I say anybody's been in Washington for any amount of time as a congressman or senator, they are 100% Jason pliable. Now, basically what you're saying and describing is what they did or what they do. They exploit young people. They get them, they use them, and while they want them, the drugs help get them whatever it is they want, they get it from them. But then when they're tired of them, they got to discard them. And so they discard them the simplest way, just turn them into pimps, send them, to prostitutes and send them off someplace where they can't be found, like runaways.
Well, or you could also get them jammed up on a drug charge. Once you've got somebody in this horrible situation, there's a lot of things you can do to them. I'm bringing this up, Larry, because it just seems to me that the crew that we see operating in Washington, D.C., they've got tentacles that extend all around the country and all around the world, but they all essentially play by the same playbook, even in what they're trying to do with me and the lawsuits and with you and the way that they have sort of shut you out and tried to neutralize you. They want to get you into a position where your back is against the wall and you're a victim and they can make you pliable, right?
Which is something that most people should be able to figure out for themselves. There is in civil law criminal and libel, right? You know about that. You can be sued for criminal or for liabilities, slander or libel.
Yeah.
But also, folks, you can be prosecuted for criminal slander and libel. You can. Now think about all the things, Jason, that I, out in public, have come out and said about Bill and Hillary. And they're the most powerful couple in the world. But you'll notice they never prosecuted me for slander or libel. Never. Not one time. Think about that.
Yeah.
So tell me who was telling the truth back then and now. I mean, the things I've said every day, I could be charged for Biden for talking about what's in his Secret Service file.
That's a Secret Service file. Wait, sorry, Larry. That's Biden's Secret Service file, not his FBI file, because I was searching for FBI files on Biden. I couldn't find them.
Well, now you know.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, guys, this is, I used to say it, now it's said all the time. Politics, Arkansas style, is a contact sport, folks. It's a contact sport. And that's what you see today. Now, the thing that's different today, and I know many of the audience doesn't believe me, but all of this stems around George Soros and the Progressive Council. That's where it all stems down. The reason we pointed out that district attorney in San Francisco is because, folks, they're putting them in all over the country. All over the country. It's very easy to fund those races and get winners. And that puts every person listening to you and I right now, Jason, in jeopardy. Because just like you said earlier, they can now use a prosecutor in Humnoke, America, wherever that is, and come after you. If you cross them, dare to speak out.
Yeah.
You know, they got this saying, see something, say something.
Right.
Yeah. See something, say something, and see what happens.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Larry, because that's another tactic that I see happening all the time, whether it's to me or somebody else. They want to, and it goes to what you were saying before about the circular reporting. They don't want to just come out and tell somebody something. They want to find a way for people to sort of let other people know so that they are as removed from the information as possible, so that when it comes to civil litigation or criminal prosecution, they don't care about what the facts are. They care about how difficult it is to prove through the legal process where the source of the information or a story was from. If we were actually concerned with facts and information and process, the Democrats would say, all right, yes, let's investigate this activity that is alleged to be attributed to Joe Biden. And if they were confident that what they were doing was just and right, they'd be confident that the findings would exonerate Biden. But they've moved us so far off of that position. This conversation I had with my friend over Thanksgiving had nothing to do with Joe Biden and with banks in Cyprus right across the street from Burisma, and the CEO of Burisma being indicted in Ukraine. None of that came into it.
No. And Jason, all I can tell your listeners is stay with us. Jason, think about the times today in congressional hearings or Senate hearings. Look how many times they quote and put into the record articles from media.
Right.
As though they were evidence, fact evidence. They do it all the time now. Usually that was forbidden.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, this is how they make their own facts, right? It gives it more weight to be part of some official proceeding. Larry, we've got a regular viewer in Philadelphia, the boy 26. I've actually met him on some of my trips to Philly. He's always got good comments. He's telling us that Philly has a Soros district attorney, Larry Krasner. Crime is skyrocketing, and he's letting criminals out of jail left and right. Just a quick Google search shows us this guy inside Philly DA Larry Krasner's new plan to drop low-level drug charges in favor of addiction treatment. Well, maybe that's a decent idea, but I guess we need to learn some more details about this. I do.
Well, one of the things with that prosecutor, there was a lady I saw on TV. I did not know her, but her son was murdered, and that prosecutor worked her way around and got him out of jail, even after he'd been convicted. So now it's going on, and if you're part of the in crowd, you'll be safe in most anything you do. Right in the out crowd, you're in trouble. And Jason, I want to ask one thing, please.
Yes.
Don't hear my voice. I could sure use some help today, folks, if you can. It would sure help you hear the shape I'm in. It's not the best in the world. I've got stuff I need to be doing. So anybody who can, please do help. PayPal's the quickest way to be in 15 minutes.
Yeah, and if people can go to paypal.com, you can use Larry's PayPal address, which is nicholslive@aol.com. If you choose the friends and family option to send some sponsorship money to Larry through PayPal, that's the easiest method for him. For people who don't like to put their credit card into the internet, you can stick some money in an envelope, send it to Larry. Cash is preferred. And I really do appreciate Larry coming on the show every week. I couldn't do this show without Larry. Larry, we've got over 1,200 people watching us right now. Even if half of those people sent you $5 on PayPal, it would make a huge difference. And I think it's quite clear that Larry really needs our help and support. His health and just his day-to-day expenses. This is what Larry does. So if people enjoy the show, I hope they will sponsor him. You know, Larry, part of what I've been trying to do with Crowdsource the Truth is have guests like you on the show as regular contributors and leave it to the audience to be the sponsors. I've run a lot of different startup companies in my career, and the management of employees and paying everybody is one of the most complicated aspects of it. So when I created Crowdsource the Truth, part of the plan was to distribute the salaries of anybody who participates. I don't have any employees. Everybody watching sponsors not only my show on subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. They sponsor the guests as well. So I hope that people will visit Larry's sponsorship page. You can go over to nicholslive.com, tap on the donate tab, and let's make this week and this December a little bit better for Larry. The holidays are coming up, and instead of that Starbucks coffee or an extra beer or whatever you might be buying, send a few bucks to Larry and make this holiday season a little bit better for him over there. Yeah.
I'd like to make a point to the folks. I don't just come on this program. Jason knows what I'm involved with. And folks, I've got much work to do. And it's hard, but it has to be done. And that's how you have the information that you get from Jason and I. And we just, times like these, it's critical for me to be able to keep doing what I do, being where I've got to be. So if you can, it would sure help.
Yeah.
And by the way, this format, Jason has the proper format, listener sponsored. That way, we don't run the risk, folks, you and I, you the listener, me a guest, we don't run the risk of an advertiser telling Jason what he can and can't say. And I have been caught in that many, many a time. I've been on with many a Mike Reagan. I used to be on with Mike Reagan all the time. And then the Stevens brothers bought the network. They was on. And then the next thing you know, Mike told me he couldn't have me on anymore.
Yeah, so that's what we're trying to do, Larry, is eliminate that undue financial influence that billionaires seem to have on the news. We're trying to create news for the people, so it's got to be sponsored by the people, and I really do appreciate your help in creating this show. Couldn't do it without you, Larry, and it's become a really popular show here on Crowdsource the Truth. We're just about out of time. Anything else you wanted to cover today, Larry?
Just watch two things. Don't pay much attention to the hearing starting tomorrow. That's just legal scholars that are just going to give you all kinds of gobbledygook.
Right.
There's nothing there. The reality of whether they vote to turn it over to the Senate for a trial has nothing to do with the legal premises by which they're doing it. And the other thing is watch what's happening at NATO as a result of what Schiff and Nadler and Pelosi and the Democrats and the media are doing to our president when it matters overseas. These are huge negotiations overseas. And remember, Jason, probably 90% of the countries that he's negotiating with, they like it the old way.
Right.
Where they get the money and do whatever they want to do and we pay for it. They don't like the new way.
Yeah. Well, and as you were saying earlier, Larry, Trump is attacking this mechanism by which whoever is involved with NATO and sending this money around to the various countries in NATO, they're making a ton of money for themselves. We've all been, kind of sitting around watching the news like dopes, thinking, wait a minute, why does a toilet seat cost $40,000? Why is the United States sending $30 billion to Israel or Germany or whoever we're sending this money to? I have a very strong feeling that any of those programs probably involve a tremendous amount of graft for whoever is involved in putting it together.
Well, you've got a tremendous amount of graft, but most people think of graft and that the money we give to the country, people within the leaders within the country, they gobble it up. Most of it doesn't get to the people meant to help.
Right.
But there is another layer of graft that you don't think about, which is the kickback to the members of Congress that do it to their families.
Terrible.
And I promise you all, you have no idea. You can't imagine how every country that we pay money to, I will bet you there is somebody in Congress through their family, through a connection somehow, getting money.
It's got to to stop. That's the draining of the swamp. Larry, I want to thank you for joining me today. It's been another great episode. And if people are watching, if they're unable to financially sponsor Larry or crowdsource the truth, another great way that you can help is to email this video around, post it on Facebook, post it on Twitter, send it to your friends. If we've said something today that you think would resonate with somebody that you were speaking with on Thanksgiving or plan to speak with over Christmas, send the video along, ask them to watch it with an open mind. There's a lot of things that are going to play out over the next couple of weeks, Larry, and we're getting closer to 2020. This is going to be one of the most volatile years in politics in the history of the country.
Yes, it is. It's big time. This is for all of the country. This is for all the Marbles folks. It truly, truly is.
Yeah. All right, Larry. Well, thanks for joining me today. We're going to see you next week, next Tuesday. Everybody should stay with me tonight at 8 p.m. on Patreon and Subscribestar. We're going to have more pain with Mike Moore of True Pundit, breaking stories coming out of True Pundit. So tune in tonight at 8 o'clock. I'll see everybody then. Larry, thanks very much. I'll talk to you next week.
Bringing down Matt Whitaker, former acting Attorney General.
I'm not sure which.
Great to see you, Matt.
Hang on a
Let's
second.
just
Let me
start off
find
with
the. Okay.
timing of Lisa Kate.
All right. Now I'm back. Yeah, no problem. And sorry, my 5 doesn't work on my computer, so I had to write out the word 58. You can use the numerals 58. I spelled it out just because my computer won't let me type the number 5. So Maureen, there you've got it. Thank you for sending something. That's great. I sent Larry the, what he needs to get in on the show with us. I sent that to him just now. So I don't know if he's going to be able to join us. Let me check, and he may need to just take a minute and get some water. I'm texting him. Are you coming here too? So he was going to try and come on here as well. And Randy, the zip code is 72034, but I typed that in, so you should have that. So, oh, there he is. All right. Sorry, my cursor was in the wrong place.
There you go.
Yep, you're here. Good.
I'm here.
Yeah, keep it short, Larry. Your voice has had enough.
Yes, it has. Very much so. Folks, there's a lot going on. If some of you heard the program with Jason.
We've got 46 here, and I think they've been here most of the time, coming on more and more. So, yes, we did.
Well,
I'm streaming it, so they did hear.
Well, first off, let me apologize to everybody for being sick. I've been pretty sick. And a special thanks to those that have helped me get through it. But tomorrow, you start the second part of the hearings, which is under Nadler. Now, they're not going to have this hearing to present evidence. It's not an evidence-based hearing. They're actually taking the evidence, supposed evidence from Schiff's report. And all this hearing is doing is they're bringing in legal scholars to explain and to convince people that the charges that Schiff has come up with do qualify for impeachment. That's what this is all about. So don't be confused. That Schiff and his little game of all of the hearsay stuff, the stuff with Mueller, all of that put together, there's not one element that's legal, that is legally binding to an impeachment. Nothing. As a matter of fact, none of Schiff's stuff would even be allowed in a court of law because it's hearsay. The only thing that was not hearsay in Schiff's hearing was Soundman, or whatever his name is, Soundman, and him saying that Trump told him absolutely no quid pro quo. So now they've got to go to Sadler, and then they're going to bring in people to justify, hopefully, to the people, to the public, that these charges Schiff has come up with, that they do meet the criteria for impeachment. But you see, this is where it gets confusing. If they convince people that there should be impeachment, then great, because we want them now, since they've gone to all of this trouble, we want it to go to a trial in the Senate. We do. Folks, that's the only way we're going to solve this. It's the only way we're going to get to the American people the truth, even on CNN and MSNBC, etc. It's the only way, because if there is a Senate trial, I assure you, in a trial situation, every media in the world will be watching it. Every media. Except if Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell stay true to their word, and the Senate trial is one that is equal to that of a court of law, then the truth will come out for the American people to see. And the Democrats don't want that. Now, that's what you're going to see tomorrow. The thing that's coming with the Horowitz IG report, what he's going to do, there's a 3-step process, guys, that you need to watch. There's the beginning, the middle, and the end. Durham is doing the beginning. Durham is investigating what was the cause, when did it start, who started it, going back to Obama. That's his part. Horowitz's part is to basically show internally the workings of the deep state, what they were doing, how they were doing it, etc. And then the third step is Barr, which is the prosecutorial step. That's where he takes the information from Durham. That's where he takes the information from Horowitz. And then the information that he has gathered with his investigation. And he determines whether to prosecute or not. That's what's going on. That's the truth. Now, you heard, most of you, I would assume, that Barr and Horowitz have some sort of conflict. Well, let me tell you what the conflict is, primarily. Horowitz, in his report, refers to all these people like Comey, McCabe, etc. He refers to them constantly as being less than honest, less than truthful. He always uses polite ways to get around saying the word lied. Now, unfortunately, less than truthful makes it hard for Barr to prosecute. It does. Whereas if he would just come out and say they lied, then that's a strong adjunct to the case for prosecution. So it's just a language problem. But I assure you, folks, the Horowitz report is dynamite. Dynamite. Don't be confused, however. The Democrats are going to come up with their explanation, and what they're going to tell you it says is going to be totally different than what it says. So just get ready. Then they're going to claim that it is by design for Trump, a cover-up to protect Trump, both Barr and Horowitz and Durham. They're just front men covering and obstructing justice for Trump, which is not the case. So, folks, that's what we've got to look forward to. It's coming. If anybody's got any questions, let's get them in now, because I'm running out.
Rindy watched the interview with Prince Andrew last night and was wondering about this stuff that Epstein supposedly did, and how it just seems like it goes way deeper than they're admitting to.
Rindy, it probably does, but y'all, I am not focused. I have not focused on Epstein and any of that to speak of. I mean, I have information about it that I ended up with, but that's not been one of my primary focuses. So, Rindy, I'm sorry, I don't know that much about it. I really don't. I'm not trying to downplay its importance. I just don't know.
Yeah.
What else you got?
That's all we've got. Anybody else have a question on what Larry discussed with Jason? If you do, type it quickly. Otherwise, we're going to let him go because he's really had it. This is his first time to be talking publicly since he was sick. Gloria asked if Horowitz is compromised in some way. Will Durham have to expose and use authority?
Now, ask that again, please.
This question isn't worded. I don't understand. It says, if Horowitz is compromised in some way,
Right?
then will Durham have to expose and use authority?
Well, I guess what's being asked if Horowitz is, if he's exposed, compromised, does that mean Durham's got to use the power of his investigation scope to cover what should have come from Horowitz? And the answer would be yes. But at this point, folks, I don't see Horowitz, I don't see him acting as though, in the way he's put this report together, I don't see him, it doesn't look like he is compromised. He's playing it safe. He's using a lot of jargon that is done in politics, but I don't think he's compromised. I just don't. I'm sorry. I'm glad. I'm not sorry. I'm glad he's not, I think.
Do you think the deep state will take out Biden?
Take him out? No. No. Do I think Biden's going to be around when the fat lady sings to run for president as a Democratic nominee? No, I do not. I do not. I just don't. I don't think they're going to support him in that way. He's too messed up, folks. He's just too messed up, even for the Democrats.
Yeah. Leaves us really wondering who they can possibly put forward that would have any chance at all.
Well, remember this. The way this race is set up with the formula that we've talked about here over and over and over, the 50-50, it really doesn't matter who the Democrats pick as their candidate. It really doesn't. They're counting on their votes for their candidate to be the people that have bought into all this media junk and lies against Trump. They're counting on, for the first time, an entire election swinging on the basis of hating Trump, not loving the candidate for the Democrat side. It's never been done that way before, but they're doing it. I don't know if it'll work, but we've got to keep Trump in the race until the election, and then we've got to help him win, because they will get a lot of votes.
And it really, and it really will boil down to who gets their side out to vote. And so many people who are high and mighty. Pardon me?
I'm sorry, what, hon?
Our side has so many people so high and mighty thinking that they're not going to get dirty in politics and won't vote. But if they would vote, it would be a major thing.
Yes, it would. Mary Ellen, I want to address something, if I may. Mary Ellen told me earlier today that she was concerned that so many people have helped me health-wise. And then I keep pushing it. And then I don't do myself any favors physically. And then I get in the spot and then I have to ask for help again. Guys, let me tell you. If I could tell you what I'm doing, you would understand. It's not fun being sick. It's not fun at all. It's probably one of the most horrible kinds of sick you can ever imagine. For me, at least it is. To be done. And there are things that I have to do that nobody else can do but me. Nobody. So, yes, in a way, I guess it is wrong to keep going, charging forward to the point to where I'm not being smart health-wise, but I don't have a choice in some cases. So please forgive me. And thank you to everybody that has helped.
Yeah. The last question, folks, this is the last one. If they keep pulling on the thread, do you think Biden will sing?
No. No.
He's too arrogant, isn't he?
Well, I just don't think he will. I know him. I've known him for a long time. And he's as dedicated a deep stater as has ever been. And he won't violate that. He won't. Not to mention the fact, I think he is bound to be concerned about his health. You know, if any of these people that are in positions of knowledge that could bring this whole thing down, they can all be disposed of. Especially somebody Biden's age, it can just happen overnight. He could have a heart attack. What else you got? Is that it?
Yep, that's it.
Well, folks, I'm going to ask one more time, please. I've got to get through the rest of this 48 hours, so if you can help with PayPal, please do. And I've got to go.
All right. Thanks, Larry, for being here.
I'm sorry I had to leave early. I just don't feel good. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you gotta go
I'm sorry.
get some rest.
All right, gang. Bye-bye now. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, Larry, thank you. Well, he has pushed all the way to the end, so sounds like he's really struggling to breathe, and that is not good for him. He needs $400 for his normal treatment today. He got one of the things he needed this morning, but he needs $400 now. So anybody, thank you for Gloria for getting us started. If anybody can match what she gave, that would be great. It's the beginning of the month, and I took care of quite a bit last night, so, and this morning. So please, folks, do what you can. I should have, I didn't think I should have kept his PayPal account streaming across here the whole time, and I forgot. But his PayPal account is nicholslive@aol.com, and then you can also go to nicholslive.com, and there you'll see the. You've heard most of you have heard this already. There's the donate page where you can get a direct link to PayPal. His address is there if you're going to send cash only. If you need to send a check, we don't have a way to do credit cards unless you're buying something on the merchandise page. His book, 28 Years to Nowhere, the t-shirt, the V is for Victor. It's the best quality gold glitter ink that you can get, and the Nichols Live, you can get it without it saying Nichols Army if you don't want that. That's the merchandise page. The only way to use a credit card is to buy something. If you want to send a check, the phone number is on the website, nicholslive.com. You need to send me a text message. And I don't, Randy, if you can put my phone number up, 240-499-6729. It is in the description box beneath the video here. And if you text me, then I will call you back, probably from a different number. I use the landline in the house. So if you need to do a check or need some other way, other ideas, we have available to do Zelle, bank-to-bank transfer. So that's it. Thank you, folks, for being here. We'll talk tomorrow, and God bless you. And let's keep praying for Larry, because he has really, really been through a tough couple weeks. So thanks a lot. Yeah, and the link to this, to listen to the demo for Larry's CD, is also beneath here in the description box at the bottom there. There's a YouTube video that has his basic, just the demo from his CD. It really is nice. He kind of, let's see, now the name slipped, not Charlie Daniels. Who's the old guy with the braids that sings? Larry sounds a little bit like him. So thanks a lot. See you tomorrow. God bless you. Bye.